part 2 of the remote viewing that I'm talking about. So, okay. I don't remember where I left off at the other one, but okay, so we're just gonna flow here. All right, so I think I left off talking about how I was in the middle of Congress and seeing all the things hidden, essentially. So I did, again, cloning has been a really big issue. And also, when people get, when they get big enough in status and power, many times, often, people have clones, they have doubles. You've seen many of them without even knowing it. And there was an emphasis, there was some stuff recently in the news about a certain person looking kind of funny or marks on the body. And I just want to, I'm not going to say names, but a pretty prominent person in society. And the issue is these are clones. And sometimes they're brought out because maybe there's been attempted stuff on that person's life. You know, you can also cover a large territory if there's 8 different versions of you. There's a lot of reasons why people bring out these clones, but it also felt a lot like safety. And again, I did have quite a bit of stuff come in with the specific person, and I did see some safety issues, so we'll just leave it at that. My intention of telling you that is just to remind you that A, you do not live in the world that you think you do, and B, there's always 100 more things going on than you think there are. There's always layers to everything, so please, if you get anything out of these videos, remember that reality is layered, we are multidimensional, there's all these things constantly happening that you just will not be told. So that's why I always encourage, learn to read energy, learn to remote view, learn all these different psychic things that are embedded in you. You have these abilities, because once you learn how to read energy, energy does not lie. You cannot be manipulated if you know how to read energy. You cannot be lied to and taken over and dumbed down if you know how to read energy. But you need to be clear. If you're not a clear channel, you can get really messy messages. You know, it can be messy. So you got to be clear. All right, so let's move on. I think I already mentioned, I did see a lot of people have been replaced. And a lot of people at the top have very large control files on them, like big control files. Again, not going to go into specifics on some of those things that I saw. And going back to the clones, you guys are they don't last as long. It's not like a vital human. And so sometimes they do break down. Sometimes they can look kind of funny. They can act kind of whatever. It's not like the person. So please understand that. I kind of laugh because I've known this for so long. And so once you know this, you can spot them and you're like, oh my God. Okay, that's not at all what people think is going on. So, okay, let's keep it moving. I'm just finishing this. Some of the people, going back to being in that room of Congress, some of the people that I saw embodied by literal demons, those beings have been called in a sense of promise to power. So they have been invited and called in, and they're embodying this. Oh, and again, entertainment purposes for safety, okay? Just, let's be safe here. Also, there are people who have quite a few altars. So if you're new to the MK Ultra topic, mind control, all those things, simplify it in a way that people in the mind control projects, which in this goes deep. This is not just politics, this is entertainment, celebrity, sports. It's pretty embedded in a lot of different ways, including even just someone who has a cell phone. You can be under mind control, and most are, and have no idea. So I did see a lot of these people have altars, meaning, you know, one of the good examples I loved that maybe you can resonate with, that movie Switch, where that guy had all these different altars, all these different personalities. It's like that. So maybe someone, you know, taps you on the shoulder a certain way, or does something in a way to activate a fractured part of you, and a new identity comes forward. So think of a shattered mirror, right? You can put all those pieces back together, but it's never going to be a full functioning mirror anymore. There's cracks, right? So it's essentially like that. It's a fragmented person, but it's really, you gotta, there's a book by Kathy O'Brien, and she survived these experiences. Her book is called Transformation of America. Very triggering book. If you have experienced, you know, any kind of sexual abuse or anything like that, I just want to warn you before you read it, but it is, whoa, give you a good idea on what's been going on, and it can be very triggering, so just prepare yourself if you get it. But it's very, I'm all about knowledge is power, so I want to know as much as I can so I can understand things more, not to have rage or riot or anything. That shit's so stupid. But knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better life that you essentially can live. And honestly, in my opinion, the happier that you are. You have to be able to have a regulated nervous system, be able to take a lot of information in, and still be able to go have a picnic and live a normal life and not be destabilized. You have to be resilient in that way when it comes to a lot of this information, because otherwise it's just going to, it can really destabilize you. But the more that people know about this stuff, you guys, the quicker we are to eliminating it. So there's power in it, and trust that. There's power in knowing, just knowing. You don't have to do anything with it, just know it exists. Okay, yeah, so I saw a lot of altars in people. Watch the movie Switch. I'll give you some other little movie tips so that I can kind of give you a visual on what I saw. I did see scaly skin under some people. So I did see some people in this room, this meeting with Congress, and there were 1000% reptilians embodied in these, what looked like to me as skin suits. So it looked just how it sounds, a literal skin suit of a person, but it was embodied and being run by something else. And some of these things were like really massive. Some literally almost looked like dragons, but reptiles. So I did see that. Okay, I'm just making sure I covered all of this. And part of all this fight for all of these agendas, you guys, is, so the DNA is a storage base. It's like a supercomputer, okay? It stores everything. Your habits, addictions, beliefs, it's everything. And so a lot of these agendas that keep wanting to be played out are essentially, what appeared to me is they want to lock down the DNA. Okay, when you get a lot of fear in the DNA, then it locks down the genetic line. And so anyone who wants to come in, that's what they're up against. And that's, to be fair, that's what a lot of you, if you're listening to this message, that's what a lot of you have been embarking on, is breaking out of these blocks that have been in the genetic line for so long, through trauma, through fear, through so many things. And that's where you have, you know, a lot of you probably had serious situations that you've had to overcome. And because we have to start creating these openings so that people can qualify for better, and that like higher vibrational experiences and beings can come in and embody and take these bloodlines to different levels, because everyone has been so stuck in time. Okay, so a lot of that, what is going on is to lock down the DNA, because there's activations going on in the DNA. I've talked about this in other videos. that are part of this awakening process. And so there's a big push to lock this down through fear. Because it's not always easy when you come into a body to overcome some of these things that have been very challenging. But I want you to consider that as challenging as it may be, and this to also validate you, it didn't start with you. You may have qualified for that, or you may have said, I will take this on so that I can clear this. But it didn't start with you. These really big wounds, these sore spots, likely they have been there for a very long time, you guys. So that is also why it can be so challenging to overcome these things. So just trust that and have compassion. And it's not about being perfect. Being human is a very imperfect process. Please trust this. You are doing amazing, and have more grace with yourself. You know, society just loves to shame and embarrass and feel guilty. And it's like, fuck all that. You came here to mess up. You came here to overcome these things. And those stories look fucking messy. It's not about being perfect. But at least you're moving. At least you're thinking. At least you're evolving. Like, how many people do you know that crossing the street is a chore? You know? Fuck. So much weird stuff going on out there. Okay. Moving on. So that is essentially also what we're up against, is this big move to lock down the DNA as more and more starts coming alive inside of us. And so many of us are breaking out of the programming. So there's a big move to try and lock everything down again. Okay. There are, I think this goes without saying, you guys, you know, if you are still listening to this, you cannot save everyone. It really is about saving yourself. Everyone's like, how do I save the world? You save yourself first. And there are simply just going to be a lot of people who are not going to get it. They are not going to be able to make the leap. They are not going to be able to do the work. And that's where you're seeing family members, friends, you know, jobs, habits, all these things are going to start falling away. Because you don't need those lessons anymore. You don't need those people, places, and things suppressing you, holding you back, draining you of your vital life force, your energy. Let it go. Because things are going to start getting real close to home. And you got to let it go. You have to let it go. You have to save yourself, all right? Because there are a lot of people awake. I was actually really happy to see this. There were so many people awake. You know, a couple years ago, it was very concerning. But we are doing, in my opinion, what I saw, fairly well. You know, go team, right? High five. So, okay, there's a lot of souls that are just going, oh, all right. Do not let this scare you. I'm going to make another video about this because it's also slightly connected to it, but I just cannot tie everything in, you guys. This is so much information. So I did see at some point around 2027-ish, potentially coming to the end of next year, between end of next year, like fallish, heavy in December, through 2027, and kind of drifting off to 2028, heavy in 2027. A lot of people are going to be leaving the planet. To be completely transparent and honest with you, I did see a whole large sum of souls. Like, they took me out and they showed me, for example, just the map of the US. And I was observing this as if I was just observing the entire states, United States. And I saw this wave of light. I mean, there was no spaces. It literally looked like a wave of souls. A lot of people. This is not to scare you. Not at all to scare you. Okay, I know it sounds awful. I deal with so much information, you guys, on a daily basis. So I don't want to say I'm desensitized to extreme stuff, but in a way I kind of am. But that's also why I'm able to receive all these messages, because I don't have the fear connected to it. I'm just like, cool. You know, like, I'm glad I know this. I have a strong emotional regulation, so I don't get overly emotionalized when it comes to these kind of things. And I encourage you to work on that if you don't already have that, because things are going to be very amped up. I did see illness coming next year. I want to make another video about that, explaining that, but I did see that. So really work on being healthy. If you do not have your health, you are the poorest person in the world, period. And this is going to become more and more and more and more and more true. If you do not have your health, you have nothing. Nothing. Because the things that are going to be coming down, specifically this one thing that I saw, it is not going to be anything we've ever had before. And I'm going to go into another video where I can just focus on that and explain that into detail, because there's a lot of layers to that, and then it will help you foresee yourself in future events, future times. Okay, I'll help you understand what it's connected to and ba-da-da-da-da. Layers, we're going back to those layers, right? So I did see that. I did see sickness coming next year. There's plenty of really incredible people out there who can give you great recipes on how to boost your immune system. You know, elderberry, high vitamin C, high vitamin D3, whatchamacallit, was it glutathione? All those things are really wonderful for boosting the immune system and keeping the body strong. But also greens, making sure you're detoxing the blood, especially through greens, is also going to be very important. So make sure you do that. Making sure you're doing things to sweat, meaning detox. It's just a natural, easy form to detox. I do a lot of hot yoga. That is, and a lot of infrared saunas. Those are the best. If you don't like being hot, I don't care. Climb a mountain, do something, but move the body. Okay, so there's so many people who just don't move the body. You need to move the body. You need to stay healthy. That is going to be very important. If you get anything out of this, please be healthy. You're really going to be thankful that you did coming into next year. All right. So, all right. Ooh, and this was cool. You're gonna be like, how is this cool? So when I saw that wave of light, that wave of souls is going to create a bridge from the 3D world to the earth, or to the spirit world. It created this really rich telepathic connection, this bridging of worlds. And so there was also purpose in, you know, when a lot of people leave the planet at the same time, it creates a very rich psychic network. And so trust that everything is going to work out in our favor and everything has purpose. And these people who are leaving you guys, please understand, you can't plan your death. You have exit points throughout your life that, you know, you can take. And so trust, all right? Just trust. So there'll be a really rich communication between the living and the dead. I'm going to start a new one here because now I'm going to go into AI. These are just going to be longer videos. I don't want to cut them all up and leave you guys hanging. So here's another one. I'm going to start a new one.